Look in the yard right next to it, full of chickens. But we don't need to bait that though. They're just chickens.
You better look at your
A lot of
ordinance.
this property, I think a lot of this stuff is not even sitting on his property, it's sitting
I
on
think it's on railroad property.
city right away. and
There's a
railroad.
boat over there.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
Because that, if you look at Terry McIntosh's, that shouldn't, not his fence line, that's the property line, yes, yeah.
So I move to proceed with abatement.
Motion to proceed with abatement from Councilwoman Beecher, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Councilman Allworth. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried, so ordered. Item 15, council member, city attorney, Miller, discussion for possible action. Approval of abatement action to include the removal of a charged building on private property located at 710 Avenue G, in Nevada, 18002-081-01.
Quickly, did the assessor give you a correct parcel number on that?
He did.
Okay, please mention that, or is this changed in there?
It hasn't been changed in the agenda.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
parcel number is incorrect, but she did get a call from the assessor for the correct parcel number.
We heard from the property owner? Vote. Okay.
That building is not charged. There's 3 pieces of fiber board that are charged. The rest of it is black fiber board. It's been weathered. I've been up here 8 different times to talk to the, not here physically, but at least 4 city council meetings to talk to Lee, 2 times in the office, 3 or 4 times at planning commission meetings. The last time I talked to him, I said, if he'll let me do what was allowed with the community choir building, no contractor, no building permit. They just put a fix on it. I'll start tomorrow on my building. It was passed when the fire broke out, former building inspector. I don't know if you remember him, if you remember me. If you don't remember UF&P. It was passed then along with Dean Day. The siding is the old asphalt tar. It's not charred. I'll do it if you'll let me do it the same way you allowed the community choir. If not, I look for contractors almost every day. I even buzzed the guy who was doing your brickwork. I went to McGill. Your sheriff doesn't do that kind of thing. I looked for a contractor. The last one that gave me a halfway decent answer was JCR. And he spent a third time before the planning commission being held up on his project. He hasn't got time to come by. So if you'll give me permission to proceed, I'll do that. Other than that, I want 90 days to find a contractor. It won't take me that long once I find one. But the problem is finding one that will do the work. And again, I told you that one contract that I had done at the motel, one bid was $23,000, the other one was $14,500. I am not going to be pinned against the wall on an item. I'm going to pay a fair price. But I also want equal protection under the law. And I want to tell you, Mr. Mayor, I feel picked on. You got Mr. Flamus here encroaching on private property.
Stick to it,
George, you're going to stick to the agenda.
Okay, I'm just saying.
So
So
the request
I can
from the property owner is for a 90-day extension to find a contractor.
As a person who is trying to find a contractor right now, I would be inclined to say they are next to impossible. So I would make a motion to grant that 90-day extension.
This way, I have a question, Mr. Chatchis. How many years ago did this building burn?
I don't know, Jim, maybe 15 years
A
ago.
little more now. I was the first fireman there, I put water on. My point is, you received insurance money for that.
I did not.
Uh,
I did not.
Okay, anyway, it's been 20 years, per se, that you have done nothing on that. The building is charred inside. I was in there.
It was passed by the
Okay.
building inspector. He told me what the
I'm
minimum was.
telling you
When I
the
get
facts,
building
sir.
permit,
I'm telling you the facts. And what you need to do when you check on your contractor, make sure he has the legal licensing for asbestos removal. Because if they start tearing apart asbestos shingles on there, the whole neighborhood is gonna be in
It's
jeopardy.
tarred. It's tarred, Jim. It's tarred. There is no asbestos. But you're right. The contractor would know asbestos It's usually a hard item, and it does not melt when heat is put to it. This has melted because he was put to it.
I could see granting him an extension, but not 90 days. He hasn't done it in 20 years. What makes you think he's gonna do it in 90 days?
Well, I mean, so many of these properties have been overrun for 20 years. That, I mean, I think, you know, I mean, we're not looking back on all these other ones that we're doing. I think it's a valid point that if we're, I mean, we are requiring a contractor, I think that's I mean, granted, that has been burnt for many years, I know, I know the property you're talking about, but if, I mean, I just think that if we're gonna look back on all these and how long they've been run down, then that's another discussion that we haven't been having.
That's why we started this new process.
Sure, I get
We
that.
are moving aggressively on this. We're not gonna back down. 90 days for Mr. Chastity, somebody hasn't done for 20 years. He'll be here in 90 days again. I'm sorry, I never found a contractor.
Don't bet on it.
So what we have at the moment is a motion on the table. If it's not amended, I'll seek a second.
The only problem I do have with the 90 days is then we turn around and it's getting close to winter. Then the project's delayed again.
So, I'll amend my motion, what are we comfortable with? 60 days?
30 days. This is
Okay,
why we
30
started.
days.
45, let's split the difference and go 45.
If I
I'll
can't
amend
find
my
those,
motion,
Eddie,
45 days.
if I can't find anybody.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Can I do it myself, just to fix up until you're that worried about cosmetics?
You'll have to cover that with our building inspector.
Very good, thank you,
What's
Mr.
required
Mayor.
by NRS. So we have a motion from Councilman Beecher for 45 days and a second from Councilman Carson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-0. With that, we'll move back to item 9.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
There's concern that I haven't done in 20 years because for over 20 years, I haven't been able to rent my other properties, so I have an income coming in.
Okay, good.
So let's keep that in perspective.
Item 9, public comment. Please state your name for the record. We'll have 3 minutes.
Save that.
You know better than that. Mr. Mayor, I make rounds throughout the community on a daily basis looking for contractors. And I see continuing disregard for the ordinances. Mr. Flangus, encroaching on city property, vehicles in city right-of-way, same with the building. On the back end, building's not fenced off. If they'd been fenced off, I really wouldn't say anything. Everything I've done is fenced off. No attractive nuisance, and yet you're coming after me. Do I get mad? I'm seething. On Campton Street, 20, 30 years ago when I was mayor, Jim Allworth was clerk. I asked to clean those properties up, and I got the runaround. Why your clerk was so concerned now? They're burnt. They're charred. They're falling apart. No fencing whatsoever. Attractive nuisance. You go through your ordinances and see what you're ignoring. Don't just look at me. I've tried to remedy mine, but I have no income coming in. Mr. Spear has items on a lot that's zoned residential, not fenced off, attractive nuisance. You went after a Vietnam veteran, Fred Fisher. You made him put up a 6-foot fence. You made him buy a permit. Okay, the same needs to be done by your councilman. On this other item, just up the street, used to be an old bus depot. Numerous cars, weeds, not fenced off, falling into the fences, falling into the sidewalk area, and yet you're coming after me. Why would I not be mad? Mr. Allworth, got water, no permit, not paying commercial fees, no anything. That was in 2007. 2014, moved to another location. No special use. Is he paying any landfill, other fees? Of course, depends on who you are. Here's a letter from August 5th, 2009, where a citizen asked about his business. She's still waiting for an answer. Avenue G, charred building, no fencing, no caution signs, and yet you're coming after me? Do I feel picked on? Yeah. You have a boat, broken windows, right next to a kid's park, next to the railroad, your so-called #1 attraction. And you're coming after me? Why doesn't he fence it? Avenue C, I believe it is, old warehouse, Flying Tin, across the street. It's partially fenced, but the gate is open. Unlicensed vehicles, other debris, and you're coming after me and other people. A little farther down the street,
Thank
Flying
you, George,
Tin,
that's 3
on the
minutes.
way to the golfers. God help us if we're
Thank
gonna
you,
golf.
George.
I want some answers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Taking notes.
Marietta Henry, 2375 Iron Drive. Thank you, Councilman Beecher, for your service to this community, for your service to the city, for the professionalism you always displayed and how you represented us. We're going to miss you. Also, hopefully you'll consider putting horse races up on the priority list for the CARES Act funding. We really need that money. We can't get it back from the state because we're being penalized because we didn't race them here. So we sincerely appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing and seeing none, with the reminder that we do have a litigation session
Yes.
after this. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.